Welcome back, Blade Gang. This old sword's with you. Yes, once again. And we've gotten back around to TwoSun, strangely enough, because I was immediately attracted to this design by Tepe. Man behind Tepe is Sean Hassan. And I've had nice chat conversations with him in the past. He's a very generous man and has a well-known branding for his knives, especially for TwoSun, but he also has produced some under his own label. And I have one of those over on the side here to show you in a bit. But we're going to look at this TS426, and I'm going to call it, quote unquote, the Kilij, because the Kilij was a old sword like me, right? See if I can find you a little background on the Kilij, Kilij, because it was a model he carried almost exactly like this TwoSun. So apparently he got TwoSun to make it. Maybe his own sales weren't that great, what have you. One moment. I did find a picture of a Kilij from the Ottoman Empire, the 19th century. That's what the sword looked like. Okay, it had that straight and then crook. This really doesn't mimic it in that way, but there you have another photo. It's a Wikipedia article. Just look up Kilij. I don't think I'll put the link in there. You guys should be able to be expert Googlers by now, I would assume. It is 2023 after all. Look at the great inlay job they did with this black micarta with a grain to it, inlaid in the titanium handle. On the other side, we have all titanium. Some nice sort of milled out accents here. These fins, they actually aid in gripping. The clip, which I've tried, is actually quite nice. Got a nice ramp there for in and out of the pocket. Blade to handle ratio, a little short on the blade, but we've got the safety margin there that you're not going to pick up the tip with your fingers or your thumb. One issue with the knife, and I was warned ahead of time by Justin at White Mountain. He said, "Do you really want this? It's darn hard to open." So it sure was. But if you commit, it'll open. Can you do anything about it? Yes, and I have in the past with frame lock folders. You disassemble the knife, you take this side of the handle, and you gently begin bending this out. You may need to remove the stop, the combo hardened steel insert and stop, because it won't go past that. But once you take that out, you can bend it past that point, again, gently, kind of easing it out a few times, maybe do it 10 times lightly. And what you'll do is decrease the push on the bar and make it a little easier when you're opening it, that you don't have that detent ball just so tightly in against that blade. Again, if you commit, it's really no problem. But if you want to fidget with it a lot, you may or may not find that works really well for you. I sort of have mastered the technique here, but you see, if I approach it back here, no good. I have to sort of get up on it and see, and I'm not touching the lock bar, but there you go. I'll leave it open for a bit if you don't mind. No lanyard hole, that's okay. Just a real cool looking knife, though, with that Persian upsweep. Much more gradual than on the sword from which it is named, from the Ottoman Empire. Look at the thickness carried all the way out to the point. You do not have a frail point here by any means. And we're going to be measuring it up very shortly, like now. Let's back out a little. So we've got some room. And tip to stern, 8 inches exactly. And I'm going to call that 3.3 inches of blade. Sharpened edge about 3.5. So we've got a little more edge than we have actual blade length. And we'll do the handle in inches first. 0.54, a little on the thicker side. And 0.15 on the blade thickness. In millimeters, 3.8 millimeters. So almost a 4 millimeter blade stock. It is a hefty blade for sure. But we're going to have to close it up now, and it is very smooth on bearings, as are most, if not all, TwoSuns. And there we go. 4.47 ounces. Not bad. So we got under a 5-ounce knife. We've got 3.5 inch cutting edge. We got a knife that's a little tough to open. And let's take a look at it next to another Persian style knife. This is by Wong Designs. And this is another TwoSun. This is the TS, the famous TS287. Some of them have nicknames. I knew what this knife was and what the origin was from Tepe. So I believe they're going to call it the Kilij. A lot longer blade here by about at least an inch on this one by Wong Designs, but very similar except for the swedge. We got a long swedge here. We got sort of a short dipping swedge here. But a similar knife, again in the Persian design language. Here's something called the Hornet 2. This was a 100% Tepe knife, although I don't know who the OEM was. This will remind you of the Gavco Thresher, except I think it's got one more peak and a little bit of an upturn there at the point. This is M390. By the way, unusual for TwoSun here is that this is N690, and they don't make very many knives in N690. I got maybe one other knife from TwoSun in N690, and I've got quite a few TwoSuns, a large collection of TwoSuns. I think we're way up there. I won't even give you a number, but we're way up there. But again, this I purchased directly from Tepe. Beautiful drop shut action. Got that ceramic ball at the end of the clip. Kind of ventilated here. Carbon fiber through and through on the handle. Pretty much wide open construction. And much easier to open than this one. But it is a liner lock on this one. Hidden liner. Rather than a frame lock. Compared to Cryptilian, little bit, I'd say just about the same, but maybe ever so slightly shorter. Compared to Rat 1, about 3/4 of an inch longer, thereabouts. It feels light. It definitely feels light. And we didn't check for weight relieving. See if we can do that. Yeah, scads of weight relieving in there. Well milled out on both titanium sides. Look at that. Lots of weight relieving. That keeps it under that 5-ounce mark and feeling light in the hand. Beautiful belt satin on that. I don't know if you can pick up on it. Really cool handle. I think everyone's liking the handle. I put a short out on Instagram and also on YouTube. And the ergos are nice. I mean, no jimping here, but you got a beautiful swale on the top there for your thumb. Fits right in there nicely. And I got about 1/2 inch or better left over. You can even, if you're careful, maybe choke up a little bit. You can use it this way, but you're going to have to come way the heck up to get at that tip because of the trailing point. Although the point itself is pretty much in line with the top of the handle. Here's another look at that nice micarta. And these deep ventilations here that give you a pretty good grip, you know, in spots, middle finger. I suppose if you held it point down, edge out, works pretty well, for sure. So the 426, if I'm remembering that correctly, 426, TS426, a Tepe design and a virtual clone of his original Kilij from his Tepe design site. So we're calling that the 426 Kilij, sticking to that, and until I'm corrected. Y'all be well. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I'll be back with you soon.